So if you're like most of us entrepreneurs, you're on all kinds of social media platforms, and maybe you're trying to tap into what's new. How can you stand out in the world using these different social media platforms? But one thing I've learned is just because you're on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, it doesn't mean you're getting any value out of it, and it could become a complete waste of time. So I wanted to bring a guest on today, someone that's just been enthralling me and just really creating an enjoyable experience on Instagram. She's taught me so much just by following her, but I know she's got a lot more that she can share with us to help us really learn how to make a big splash in one of the newer platforms today. So I'll introduce her in a second, but if you're a new friend, let me just share a little bit about myself and what this is. I'm Melanie Benson, and I'm known as America's leading small business optimizer. And this podcast is where I bring all kinds of cutting edge information, entrepreneurs and business owners who really made it big, and they have one thing in common. They figured out they needed to optimize what they do best to get the best traction in their business around profit and time. So today, we're going to learn from somebody who I've recently been getting to know better, Sue B, or better known as Sue Zimmerman. She is the Instagram expert, and we'll put a hashtag in front of that, founder of Insta Results, the world's first comprehensive online Instagram course, and author of the #1 ebook, Instagram Basics for Your Business. And what I found really fascinating about Sue as I started to follow her and get to know her a little better is she is a serial entrepreneur and she's made it work. Sue B has started over 18 businesses, and including a really fun business out, she'll have to remind us where it is. It's stepping out of my head, but she's got a boutique called Sue B Do. Also Boxer Rebellion, which tells me she must have boxers, and Sue B Zimmerman Enterprise. So Sue, thanks so much for joining us today. I know you're out in one of your favorite spots, your summer destination. Remind me where it is. I'm sorry, it jumped out of my head.
No problem. I am here on Cape Cod in Massachusetts.
That's
in
right.
a charming town called Falmouth. I'm actually in Falmouth Heights.
Okay.
So this is where I live in the summer. I have a summer home here, and I love being here, and I'm near the water. I'm near everything nautical, which is all part of my branding, so it makes me very happy.
Yeah, I love that about your brand too. There's always so many fun, beachy, nautical branding and marketing pieces to you. It's like it let me get to know who you were before we ever talked,
Yeah.
which is the point, right?
Right, exactly.
So, all right, you've had 18 businesses. You still have several of them going. You're leading a life with a lot of different elements going on. You travel a ton. You're speaking all over the place. You are a very sought after social media speaker and trainer. How did you get to focus on Instagram? I've been really curious, like what pulled you into that and caused you to really specialize in that platform?
Well, I am a mother of 3 daughters, and 2 happen to be twins.
Wow.
Teenagers. So I pay attention to my teenagers' mobile habits, and I also was teaching social media in and around the Boston area before I discovered Instagram from my twins. They were literally, like if you can see me, they were literally on their phone and they were doing this.
Yeah.
They were scrolling, and I was curious because I had never seen that kind of movement. They weren't texting or tapping or talking. So I asked them what they were doing, and they're like, "Mom, don't you dare get on Instagram." I started teaching it. And so because I knew they were on it in a big way, I downloaded the app. I started using the app. And as you mentioned, I'm a small business owner like many of the people listening, and I have a store here on Cape Cod in the town of Mashpee, which is in the community of New Seabury, which is actually where I got married with my husband.
Aww.
And there's a little amenity marketplace called the Pompanesett Marketplace, and that's where Subidu is in the summer. So for a short 3 months, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, I have 4 to 5 employees that work for me in that little boutique, and I sell clothing, jewelry, and accessories, all with a nautical vibe. And like so many other business owners, I was on very, social platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and I used and leveraged Foursquare a lot back 3 years ago. And then I started using Instagram, and I was like, OMG, this is crazy. People were literally walking in the store and saying, I want to buy this, what I just saw on Instagram. And so I made all my girls start using Instagram as part of our marketing efforts in the store. I let my girls have their cell phones. You should if you have employees, because they can become great tools if you let them have them and be a part of your team. And yes, they'll text their friends, but who cares if they're marketing your products? So my girls always would upload photos. It's part of their requirement for their shift, and it would be to their account. So it was the collective efforts of me and my employees that made my sales increase 40% in just one summer. So I, being the entrepreneur that I am, was like, this is crazy. Instagram's amazing. I love it. I think visually. I'm an artist at heart. And I knew that I could tell visual stories and get the word out there to market my products. So I attended my first ever conference with people that were in the marketing internet space. I didn't even know what an affiliate was. And that was, I'm sure you know, Melanie, it was Brendan Bouchard's Experts Academy. Yes. Back in May 2000, and I want to say 13. And I went, and I was in a room with 800 other passionate entrepreneurs. No one knew how to use Instagram. Like, I was showing everybody at the break, like, what a geotag was and how to use it and why you should not be posting your coaster, where your beer is, or your bedroom, or your elevator buttons, or whatever they were posting. And so I became like the person like passionately teaching at that conference. And on day 4 of that conference, when I thought I was going to be teaching social media for retailers, like that was going to be my big course that I was going to come out and teach to the world, I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be the Instagram expert. I'm going to teach business owners all around the world how to use Instagram to grow their brand. And so when I came home from that conference, I literally put my cell phone in a tree. I was new to YouTube, but I created a channel, and you can watch that video. You can link it up in the show notes. It's like, I am the Instagram gal, and it's me telling the world that I was going to teach business owners how to use it. So I kind of manifested where I am today, fast forward 2 years, after living in the app Instagram 24/7 and really diving in and understanding it in a big I'm just proud to say that it's all come to be, and I'm excited. I love helping other businesses find success in Instagram.
Oh, I love that. And you know what's cool is you claimed a niche before everybody jumped on board and started becoming self-proclaimed Instagram experts. So you really gave yourself a running advantage. And, you know, I think a lot of people are really afraid to stand there and go, I'm claiming this, when they're in the learning space, right? And so I'm just kind of curious from a headspace, like where your mindset was. Did that mean you just knew that you're really good at picking stuff up? Are you a risk taker by nature? Did you just have like oodles of confidence and courage? Like, you know, because it's pretty, you know, I don't want to say it's ballsy. It's not ballsy, but kind of is. It's just not many people are willing to do that.
So pretty much yes to every question you just asked. Okay. I grew up with a father who owned businesses, and they were automobile part businesses. And I was the daughter I have a brother and a sister, who went to work with him on Saturday morning so I could be with him at 5 a.m, and I was filing distributors and mufflers and sweeping the floor and really observing the customers and the customer service aspect of the business and how they always managed to make people happy when they walked out of the door. And I just remember that distinctly. And then at 13, my dad let me use the automobile paint that people touch up their cars when they get dings in it. And it's probably very highly toxic looking back. But I was painting barrettes, you know, the clips that you put in your hair. And this was back in the day when preppy was really in, although preppy's really in all the time. And I was painting whales and rainbows and strawberries, and I put them on a ribbon, and I brought them to recess, and I was selling them at recess, and I wasn't supposed to be selling them at recess, so I'm always like breaking all the rules, even now. And then I was making money, and this whole notion of making money and buying things that my parents wouldn't buy me felt so good, and it validated what I love to do at a very young age. And so I think I've had that mindset from being a little girl, and then after graduating from college with a degree in nutrition, job offer fell through, moved to Virginia Beach with my college roommate. She got a job as a nurse. I said, screw you, to the guy that was going to hire me because he wasn't going to pay me what he said he would. Started waitressing, hand painting clothing, hand painting boxer shorts. Started to silk screen the boxer shorts because the demand was so crazy. This was the early 80s. And I grew $1 million business at the age of 22. So I think the confidence comes from doing what I always love to do and not really caring what people think about me, but know that I'm following my heart and my passion and my purpose. And at a young age of 22, when I had 12 or 15 employees and 50 sales reps and running this great business, I knew that I could always do what I wanted to do. Like that was like the mindset piece that you're talking about that I think a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs miss. It's just when you make money doing what you love, the money validates your passion and purpose and obviously the value. I mean, I was selling the boxer shorts, I think at the time for like $12 or $15. And every time I sold a pair, I just felt so good. And it's the same with any product. You just feel like what you're putting out to the world is validated. So I had that validation. And then, as you said, there's 18 businesses. So there's a lot of stories in between. And I can talk about a couple that kind of pivoted to being like in this space if you want.
Yeah, please. I think it's really, one of the things I was going to get into a little bit later, but I think we'll just run with it now is, it takes a certain kind of person to be able to keep multiple businesses going without getting overly distracted and like losing their mind. So I'd love to hear, how do they intertwine? And then I want to go a little bit deeper at that too.
Sure. So I always had a business that worked with where I was at that time of my life. So before I had kids, I was working very hard, kind of like you see me today, like how the heck does Sue do everything she does? Well, my kids are out of the house now. So before I had kids, I was working like a crazy person, but it paid off and I loved it. And I never thought about work as work. I never thought about Friday, or I need wine or I need the weekend. It's like, I love what I do. So I don't live for the weekends. I live to live. And so I just have been able to morph into the next opportunity. And to your point, I'm very cognizant and aware of everything around me and trends before they become trends. So I'll give you a couple examples. I knew that the boxer shorts were going to be huge because nobody was wearing them as outerwear. So it was like kind of breaking the norm, especially when girls started wearing them. And I love that. So it was definitely part of the trend of the time, and boxer shorts were huge. I also had the opportunity to help create the little gibbets that go in the Crocs that everybody was wearing about, I would say, 8 to 10 years ago in a big way. And I knew the Crocs were going to be a sensation because they came in everybody's favorite color. They weren't age specific. They weren't, gender specific. And the only other item in the world that, in my mind, is a pair of jeans. So the minute you have an item that you can sell to every single person that would want it, which is global, it's a huge opportunity. So I knew selling those Crocs and being a part of that was going to be huge. So I spotted that. And, that business came when my daughters were really little. After I moved back from Virginia to Boston, because I just had enough of Virginia, and I'm an East Coast gal at heart. I got married, I had my kids, I had twins, and that totally changed in my life because that was like, oh my goodness, if I can just get through a load of laundry, I'm happy. So I started teaching art classes in my basement because I always needed to be doing something where I felt self-worth outside of raising my kids. I just needed a piece of me. And I know for a lot of moms that can be challenging, but I always made it work in a way that worked for our family and the schedule of their naps or the schedule of my daughter going to school. So I did a lot of miscellaneous little fun businesses. They were all locally based for the most part. But the ones that I think the listeners would really enjoy hearing about was one that I had when the girls were little, and it was a double-sided tape. It was called Treasure It. It was for the craft industry. My girlfriend, who also has twins and 3 daughters, and I got together for a play date, and the girls were all happy. Nobody was crying. Nobody was fighting. And I looked at Suzanne, and I'm like, what's going on here? They're all getting along. And it's because they were crafting with this tape that wasn't messy. It wasn't sticky. And they were having a blast. And so I looked at that and said, okay, I'm turning this into some kind of business. This is crazy. So we did. We called it Treasure Tape. We sold it to all the craft stores around the world. I got on QVC. I was on QVC. We got on twice. Suzanne got on once, and I got on once. And we sold it. And I was like, oh my God, TV was like the first time ever on TV. And we hit all their goals. Like they wanted us to do, I think, $5,000 a minute. And I was on for 3 minutes. And so back then, I was embellishing photos, like real photos with our tape and thread and cabochon and bringing them to life, like 3D. It was so cool. And so it's very ironic to me now that you fast forward 8 years, I'm teaching the world how to embellish their digital photos on Instagram with third-party apps and
so
Instagram
true.
itself. So photos are my most prized possession, as I'm sure they are for most people, and that's why we all feel so compelled to save them and take them and share them on Instagram, and we can certainly dive into Instagram. But I want people to know that I have the foundation of being a successful entrepreneur. I just didn't land here as the Instagram expert. I know opportunities as I see them, and I know that you wanted to talk about Instagram, but because of the timing of this interview, I feel compelled to say to you all, my favorite platform and tool right now is Periscope.
I knew we were going to talk about Periscope because I saw you make the transition. I love it too. It's huge.
It's not even a transition, Melanie. It's using it to drive traffic to Instagram and every other aspect of my business.
Good.
Because the power of video, like this interview, where people can hear my passion, see my eyes, and see me smile, you feel so much more connected to people than any other way. And Periscope allows for that intimate opportunity for you to just jump on someone's scope when they broadcast and be right there with them wherever they may be. And so only 1% of the world is even on Periscope. People don't even know what it is. It's so new. And yes, I'm an early adopter in opportunities that I see are amazing opportunities. I always have been. And this is one of those opportunities. I've never been this excited about anything since my boxer shorts, as just like the money, the conversion rate on Periscope to everything I do, the conversion rate monetarily, what it's done for our brand, it's just through the roof. But I don't want to take away from the power of Instagram, which is my favorite sandbox. And we can certainly talk about why I have 6 Instagram accounts and why I love it.
Yeah, and I don't mind even doing a little crossover because I agree with you. I think Periscope is matter of fact, we're going to be doing a lot talking about Periscope. I've been a little hesitant to jump in just because it's just one more thing, but it's also a thing that needs to have attention, especially, when you see how you can spotlight other elements of your marketing. So I want to go back to Instagram for a second, and then we can kind of pick up with Periscope. I'm kind of curious, what would you say is the biggest mistake people are making on Instagram right now?
Okay, so there's a lot of different mistakes. So let's start with the first one that is like, okay, if you're in business, you do not want to have your account on private.
Yes. Oh my God, it drives me nuts.
It's like having the door shut and you're closed. So number one. Number two is not having a clear, beautiful, professional avatar that matches up to your branding.
Or picture, for those of you that don't know, avatar.
Yeah, an avatar is a picture, yes. And then that should be consistent with what people see on your other platforms so they recognize you, especially if you're new to Instagram. And I'd say another one is not having, I call it a rocking bio, a bio that really says who you are, what you do, and who you want to serve, that's very clear and concise and not confusing. So clear, concise, not confusing. And another mistake is there's no call to action in the bio, or there's no bit.ly link. And I say bit.ly link or tracking link because you want to track your success from Instagram. And we track all of our bit.ly links and know that our strategy guide, which I can share the link with you, Melanie, which is our free Instagram strategy guide, is our best opt-in that we consistently share on Instagram. And since January, we've had 5,000 people opt in from Instagram. 5,000.
That's great.
Amazing, right? Right now, we're in the middle of a launch for our Insta Academy. So the bit.ly link that you'll see there for a couple of weeks is changed out. So we strategically change out the link depending on what we are promoting and where we want to drive traffic.
Yeah, and just if you're not familiar with Instagram, your bio is the only place where you can actually hyperlink your URL. So it's really valuable real estate. You can put URLs in the body of your text, but it doesn't hyperlink. So, people are always going to go back to the bio. And I learned that really quickly. And I'm like, oh, this is valuable real estate. And I realized, like you said, you should be changing it out. And I also have to thank you. You let me know that my avatar was blurry when I first got up. You probably don't even remember this.
I don't remember. I'm always telling.
Yeah, you somehow
always
popped
telling-
on with me, and I think I had tagged you in something, and you popped in and looked, and then you're like, hey, your picture's blurry, you should change it. And I'm like, I didn't even know it was blurry. So, Sue's a great resource on Instagram. Now, can't go too deep into this, but I have to tell you, and you have a firm stance for this in the world, but the one thing that drives me absolutely insane is all of the spammers who put these posts up and then they tag like a million people. It's completely worthless activity. So don't get sucked into that stuff. I know, Sue, you're really adamant about that as well.
Oh, yeah.
You have to build real
I'll share
followers.
it.
Yeah,
I think people need to know. I think people need to hear this. So if you use the hashtag shout out for shout out or follow for follow or F for F or S for F, those attract all the spammers, and you will get spammed by crazy people that all they care about is generating a lead and not creating a relationship, and it's obnoxious, annoying, and I don't tolerate any of it. I have a YouTube video you can link up in the show notes where I teach you how to block and report the spammers, and you've got to get them off your comment feed as well, because once one comes over, like there's a whole slew of them, and I actually think they use third-party apps on key hashtags, and they know how to come and automatically comment with stupid comments like nice pic,
yeah,
great photo when it's actually a video, and it's so obvious that they're spamming. And so I go in. You can definitely report as spam. I do that every single time, and I block them because Instagram will absolutely remove people and revoke their privilege of the app if they get enough complaints from if there's enough people complaining about that account.
Yeah. So, we've got Facebook, we've got Pinterest, now we've got Instagram, and these are just kind of the image-based worlds that I'm talking about. We're not even getting into all the other elements. Why would someone, really focus their energy on Instagram? Let's say they've got limited time and it's too overwhelming to try and do it all, which we all know we can't. Why Instagram over maybe some of these other sites right now?
So what the listeners need to know is I used to teach Pinterest. I was on stage teaching Pinterest, and then after Instagram, I have not logged on to Pinterest in over a year. I do have a presence there. I have my team manage that, but I'm not even enjoying that experience. I enjoy Instagram. Instagram is a digital scrapbook where you can share your most passionate experiences and the issues and the people that you really want to align with, and share, just share videos, share photos, share your business services in a way that it humanizes who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so easy, and it's all chronological. So I love when I say digital scrapbook, I mean that, and it goes back to me teaching art classes and me teaching how to use scrapbooking. It's like you can go back to anyone's Instagram account and scroll down and see where they started and see where they are and see the progress they made and who they are and what their, and what their values are. I mean, you can really get a sense, I think, from people's photos, like what their digital story and their values are. And a lot of businesses are using it just like Facebook, which is not, in my opinion, the way to use it. The way to use Instagram is to really show sneak peeks behind the scene, intimate things that you're working on that you don't show on any other platform. I don't recommend cross-promoting all the time. Do I recommend sharing to Facebook and Twitter? Absolutely, but not every single post. You want people to feel special when they come to your Instagram account, and you want them to know that when they get there, it's going to be something special and different that they didn't see somewhere else. And the other thing that I love about Instagram so much, it's so easy to tag someone to get their eyeballs on anything. So if I see something that I want to bring, Melanie, your eyeballs on because I thought of you when I saw it, all I need to do is tag you and share that with you, not send you an email, not send you a text, not tweet you. It's just like tag your name and say, check this out. I know that you would enjoy it. So you can definitely be a connector and someone who loves collaborating and sharing information in a way that makes it so easy for the business owner's eyes to get on it. I mean, there's obviously I could talk about this, for 6 hours. I was on stage teaching Instagram for that long at Creative Live. I can talk about this all day, but I think these are some key things for the listeners to take away for sure. And if you want to ask me anything else, I'm here for that.
Well, I want to touch base for a second on this crossover into Periscope. Because, so let's say what Periscope is. Periscope is it's a form of live streaming.
Yeah.
And you use your device.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyone can be their own broadcaster. So Melanie, I don't know about you, but I was going to have you have this podcast. I was going to start an Instagram podcast. I was all set. Chris Brogan talked me into it. Jared Easley from the podcast movement is like, Sue, get that Instagram podcast going right now. I even got a logo. I got it all going. And then my team, Morgan and Rachel, they're like, Sue, we do not have the bandwidth to do one more thing, which is like having another business. Honestly, these podcasts, I know, I'm interviewed on them frequently. It's a really big commitment, and I just don't have the time to thin my, like where I'm spending my valuable time. Like it's just too thinning for me. So as soon as Periscope came out and I could broadcast and teach on my terms, when I want, where I want, and say whatever I want, and not need a guest, but sometimes I do feature guests through Skype, I was sold. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I can go live today and have so many things I want to talk about. This is perfect. And so it has grown so fast for me. I almost have 4,000 followers in less than a month. And I'm speaking at the Periscope Summit in New York in September. And I've converted so many people into paying clients because they see me, they want more of my services. And our email list has grown and our Instagram account grows 100 new followers a day. So obviously the positive reinforcement from broadcasting brings me back to Periscope every single day. Because I have a hashtag called SubiScope that you can look at on Instagram and see all the Instagram posts that I post around my Periscope content. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I love that you would take Periscope and then you would spotlight something you were doing on Instagram, or you were doing an interview and you would pull that in, and it actually gave me a lot of ideas how Periscope can be so versatile and help expose other elements that people might not know about.
Yeah, I have a friend who found me on Creative Live, and I think she bought my second course, Sell More with Instagram, and she's shy. What country is she from? Oh, she's German. And she, her English is a little broken. I mean, totally fine. And she was nervous getting on Periscope, but she decided to do a 365-day challenge of doodles. And so every day she gets on Periscope and she shows you what she's drawing.
Oh,
and she
cool.
created a Facebook group around it to challenge everyone to get on Periscope when she's teaching how to doodle. And she's made the commitment to do it every day for a year. And she told me in a direct message on Instagram yesterday, she's had more engagement on Instagram, more direct messages, more attention. Everything is growing because people see how amazingly talented she is. And she is someone who has created, she has licenses for her art on fabric. Like she's a fabric designer. She creates art for people. Like Surtex, like is the industry where they pay her royalties, and she has her art on different fabrics. And it's just so awesome, that application. I believe, and now people are calling me and asking me to do strategy sessions on what can my Periscope strategy be? And I love coming up with Periscope strategies. And often they know me because of Instagram, and I talk to them and tell them how they can grow their Instagram followers very, strategically from their Periscopes, from doing scopes. And it's amazing. It really is. And you want to be a frontier. This is happening now. Like a year from now, you're going to be like, oh, I heard that on this interview, and Sue talked about it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a good voice. I don't like the way my hair looks. Like all the reasons people hate video. It's like, it's your content that people are attracted to and learn from. And so I try to push people to have the confidence to just do it. And when they do it, they message me and they're like, OMG, that was so much fun. I'm so glad you coached me through that.
Yeah.
So it feels really good to help people get on and share their gifts,
I love it. Yeah, Periscope is definitely going to be a new wave. So Sue, I'm curious, with everything that you have going on, and you having laid a really strong foundation as a successful entrepreneur early in life, I'm sure that there's been a couple things that you figured out along the way. And I'm curious if there's something that you figured out, I got to really optimize this piece of my business or the way I run my business if I'm going to make all this work.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's being surrounded by an amazing team. I've been an entrepreneur I should say a solopreneur for most of my life, except for the boxer short business when it was a company. And now I'm an entrepreneur. I say that with conviction because I have a team. I have 2 full-time employees, 4 contractors, a team in the Philippines, and it feels so good to have a team where we're all contributing to this amazing business where we change lives every day. And I really celebrate both Morgan and Rachel, who you've probably seen on my scopes, because I think it's so important for people to know and understand that I would not be the successful Subi Zimmerman enterprise in the online space as one of the top social media experts speaking all over the world if I didn't have the support of my team. They clearly run so much of this business with me, and I want the spotlight to be on them as well. I mean, clearly I'm the voice of the brand. I'm the person behind the brand, but they are so much a part of it as well. So whenever I have the opportunity for the world to meet them, see them, I take them with me to some of my shows, and I expose them because they are young, they're in their 20s, and I think it's so important for people to see that you can live this life of abundance being doing what you love every day on your own terms, meaning, not 9 to 5, but getting a lot done and being productive and making a living doing what you love, and not be a part of the rat race. And I've never been a part of the rat race, so I don't know firsthand. I've never done a resume. So I just hear a lot of my clients just spill their guts to me all the time. And I just know that when you can wake up every single day and do what you love and make someone happier or more successful or more confident, that to me, that's success. And also, leaving a legacy for my 3 daughters where they have this mom who is kind of crazy sometimes. They're like, Mom, do I really have to teach you Snapchat now? I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of like into Snapchat. Like, it's fun. Like, I don't know what button to press. Lila, show me. Or Amanda, show me. Oh, Kara's like, oh, don't you dare start Snapchat. But, they see me now, like, in the limelight online. They hear me on my podcast interviews. They're like, okay, Mom's kind of a big deal right now.
That's fun.
And it's
totally fun. And it's also you're modeling something, that is so important and valuable that they can't get in school. It's like how to live your passion and trust your instincts. I mean, you, as I'm getting to know you here, I'm recognizing you're really a trend spotter.
I definitely am. That's like the Malcolm Gladwell Tipping Point. That book, I'm like, I always see the trend before everyone else even knows it's going to be a trend. Like, that's been my brain, and that's been every business. Yeah. I do want to just add one really quick thing. I know that you wanted to keep this to 30 minutes, but I want to just let you know that, you mentioned my daughters, I mentioned my daughters, and one of my daughters is on Instagram in a big way, Lila, Fresh Fit and A&D Fearless. She was on stage with me at Creative Live with her passion and purpose, which is just eating healthy, raw, vegan college student. And yesterday she launched her ebook, which is I'm so excited, so proud. And she was so sad because the links all weren't working, but people were buying the ebook. And it's all her recipes. She put together this ebook. My team helped her. And I got her on Periscope announcing it. And she's been doing some scoping. And, she's 19 and she clearly feels validated like I did when I was younger. And she's still in college, obviously. But it's so cool to see her kind of set herself up for success. And who knows where this is going to take her. But businesses are sending her free products and businesses are asking her to post and they're paying her $50. And, she's just 19. And it's that kind of success, whether it's one of my kids or one of my clients, that just makes me really smile and feel so good.
I love that. Okay, so one more thing I want to get out of you before we wrap up here. Again, knowing you have so much wisdom and so much knowledge, if you could share one piece of advice based on a learning you've had along the way that might help somebody really step up and get into their passion and purpose, what would that be?
Oh gosh, this might sound a little trite, but I mean, this is, I think, the one thing that people always tell me that they recognize about me. It's like, it's really not pleasing anyone but yourself. I know it's always, it's doing it for you. And the minute you say, oh, my husband's not going to support me, my friends think I'm crazy, I can't do that. That's just not going to make her feel good. It's like, what makes you feel good? Why are you jumping out of bed? And if you don't know, read Simon Sinek's Start with Why. You need to know your purpose and the why you do what you do every day, I think, to live a life full on with passion and purpose.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. That was a hard knock for me on my own journey because I got to a point where I was doing everything to make my team happier because I thought it was going to make my clients better. Or, I lost that for a while around year 6 in business. And when you lose it, you lose the energy you need to fly. And I'm so glad you said that today. It's an important piece of business. So Sue, let's share with everybody, how can they get access to your Instagram resources?
Sure. So I have a couple of resources. First and foremost, I like to share the free things with all of you because I want to take you there. So certainly on YouTube, Sue B. Zimmerman, subscribe. I have a great playlist, Instagram for Business playlist. You could be watching me for 20 or 30 hours. I promise you the videos are 2 to 5 minutes each. I have people that say, oh my God, I just watched you for 9 hours. I'm like, are you kidding? And then I have a great fan page on Facebook, Sue B. Zimmerman Enterprise. That's my business page where I share up-to-date information about Instagram tools, marketing, all that good stuff on my page. And then a free group, Instagram Results, that you all can ask to join. There's over 4,000 people in that amazing group. And I have one more place I can take you, which is my SlideShare. We haven't really been posting as frequently as we used to, but there's some really great resources and SlideShares that we created. I think there's about 63 different ones, all in the social media space, not just Instagram. Slideshare.net, Sue B. Zimmerman there. And the strategy guide that I mentioned, I want you all to be able to grab that free Instagram strategy guide because it is a really great guide, and people always tell us that they would actually have paid for it. It's really juicy and really will set you all up for your success on Instagram. And I like to always do a call to action in everything I do. It's kind of my New England bossy Boston way, if you're okay with that.
Go for it.
Okay, so I like to know if you listened on this podcast and you found value in this interview to come over to Instagram and tell me at Sue B. Zimmerman or at the Instagram expert. Pick your favorite post and just say, Melanie, what are you on Instagram?
I am Melanie Strick on Instagram.
So mention Melanie Strick and let her know that she got tagged as well, and just say, hey, I'm so glad that Melanie interviewed you. I enjoyed the podcast, and tell me what you learned or what you liked learning the most. I really believe that it's important to take people from one platform to the other so that you can grow as a community and cross-pollinate, if you will. That's probably why the bee, Sue B, is part of my branding, because I'm like a bee flying around everywhere. And I really believe in the cross-pollination and cross-promotion. And you'll see success in your business if you condition your mind to not just be so focused on one thing, but to think about how can you get the most out of that one thing that you're working so hard at doing. So, Melanie's working so hard at these podcast interviews, and I'm sure she's going to be putting it on Twitter, sharing it on Facebook, maybe share it on Instagram, and really leverage the power of the content that you're creating. So I want everyone to take that message home and actually commit to doing it, because that means that you're an action taker. And I love action takers.
Me too. There's no value in information unless you're taking action on it. That's the way I look at it. So, and if you missed any of these links or you didn't quite catch how to post on Instagram, just look in the show notes on the blog at melaniebensonstrick.com. We'll link you up there so you can find Sue super easy. And I got to say, Sue, thank you so much. I love when people really share their wisdom from an authentic place. And, you've added so much value. And if you are not on Instagram yet, I hope you are inspired now. And definitely come check us both out on Periscope as well. We'll make sure the links are here. This is one of those opportunities that you have to get in on the ground floor and to really be able to boost the visibility to your business, so that you're not scattering your effort, you're honing your effort, you're pulling yourself in so that the action you're taking can have massive results. And Sue shared some great, brilliant ways to do that today. And I would also love to hear your thoughts. What's popped for you? Where's your aha? What'd you learn from Sue today? On the blog at melaniebensonstrick.com, you can just type in Sue Zimmerman in the search button if it's not right there on the main screen. Again, Sue, thanks so much. I know how busy bee you are. And
yes, I'll sign off. Yeah, I'll sign off in my fun little YouTube way. So
okay.
People always comment on my nail polish. There's a reason. There's a whole reason behind that branding. So I like to say, make sure you have a hashtag #InstaAwesomeDay.
Yeah. Woohoo! All right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you again next week.